I have a really interesting article here from Gamesindustry.biz, and sometimes I do have problems with articles they'll have, or people, or like Brendan Sinclair is the author of this article, and I have a problem with some of the stuff he's written. But I think this is really interesting. How does Zynga hunt for whales this week in business? This is the kind of article that they should be making things about. If you were to look around the industry these days, you might think that whales had gone extinct, but they haven't really. They're just rebranded. They're basically talking about in the mobile games, free-to-play games, the people who spend a bunch of money are called whales, basically. And it goes on and it talks about some of the things that that companies will do, the gambling techniques and tactics that they'll use to try to prey on these people, which is what they're doing really. But anyway, that includes a bunch of quotes and stuff. When you look at your VIP base and how much you're spending right now today, it's a huge amount of money. Depending on your game, it can be anywhere between 70 and 90% of all revenue coming from your VIP base. Talking about how whales are the ones, even though they're like such a minority compared to like, I think, cause, I mean, I've seen estimates of, 10% is whales, but they account for 70 to 90%. Now, I'm not exactly sure on those numbers because it's going to vary from game to game. But anyway, and it goes on. Here's another quote. In 2012, when I moved over to social mobile gaming, there was no VIP. That's what they keep calling whales in existence within social gaming. What I was trying to do was take my learnings from real money gambling and translate them into the world of social mobile gambling. It was very important for the business to understand that VIP just works in social, casino, and poker, or does it actually work across other genres? So that was quite a test for us to do. I moved into a central function within Zynga, and we launched VIP on all of our genres. I keep going. Like I said, I'll link this in the description box because this is a very long article, although it's very interesting. At least I think so. We've done so much experimenting as Zynga with VIP. We know what's called the frequency of contact. We know what call types work. We know what times to call. We know exactly who to call and when. We know who has a higher propensity to be more susceptible to our call. Doyle brags about how thoroughly the Zynga apparatus boils its biggest customers down to little more than numbers on a spreadsheet. They said that Zynga has models that identify people on their trajectory to be in a high-level VIP but slow down their spending. At that point, they need to reach out and call them to find out what's wrong. They also identify players who have slowed down their play. For example, a poker player who normally plays 50 hands a day but has slowed down to 20 hands lately. They'll get a call from an account manager following a script to get them back on track. They even have a propensity to pay model that identifies how likely people are to spend money on the game at any given time. They don't use that model to go after the people most likely to play or pay. Doyle says having account managers call them would be inefficient since it's like shooting fish in a barrel, but instead they focus on people with a medium propensity to pay, but a tendency to pay a lot when they do. The actual account managers are largely going to be people with a background in sales because they kind of have to be. Then here's a stat, 110. The average number of contacts each account manager makes in a day. Here's a quote. If we take the slots genre, for example, there's a lot of proven methodology that says in order to bring a slots player back to a slots game, an email sent to them should include the bells and the whistles and the feeling they get when they've just won and it ignites in them, I want to get back in the game. We've actually built out a VIP marketing program that would speak to the player about the relationship they had with the account manager and not necessarily the bells and whistles of what they were going to feel when they got back to the game, which is what central marketing was doing. Then it goes on, here's another stat, 89.36%, the profit margin on Zynga's VIP program expenditures, according to Doyle. So how do they figure that out and determine exactly what the return on investment for the program is? They identify the whales in the game and run an experiment giving the full VIP treatment to 80% of those big spenders, while the remaining 20% get whatever the pre-existing perks for big spenders might have been. That way they have a control group so they know how much of a gain or loss is due to the VIP program compared to whatever else may be going on with the game, from promotions and updates, yada yada, all that stuff. There's other quotes and stuff. It basically, to boil it down though, because hell, this video is already 4 minutes long. It's just they're trying to prey on people's gambling instincts, because some people are like really addicted to gambling. Some people are addicted and can kind of pull back. Then others are extremely addicted, and those are the ones that need to go to the Gamblers Anonymous meetings and all that stuff. And it just goes on and on. Here's another quote. It's never been an issue for us. There are VIPs who are super connected with their account manager. They know they're VIPs. They're not voices in the community or forum. They expect to get that level of service. And it goes on, talks a little bit more, and you'll absolutely see that upside if you follow this strategy. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. And it talks about the relationship companies like Zynga cultivate with whales are built around providing the right stimuli at the right time to elicit the desired response. They are exceedingly manipulative and ultimately dehumanizing, treating people less like individuals with agency that matters and more like rats in a Skinner box. And all this stuff is true, obviously, but it's very seedy. It almost makes you feel dirty. and everything. Like you're just because you're manipulating people at a level, and some of these people, it's like they know full well what they're doing. I mean, they don't spend too much. They live within their means. They gamble within their means. But then you got people who are just they're going hugely into debt, probably mortgaging their house, getting their second mortgage or whatever. They're going to lose everything. But these people don't give a shit. All they care about is money, and it is so just gross. And that's why this kind of stuff needs to be number one needs to be exposed, but also needs to be talked about in terms of what can we do to stop it. But anyway, they also have this really interesting part of the article where it's the rest of the week in review. This has got nothing to do with what the actual article was. It was just in general. Like here's one talking about, you know, this person tries to put a positive spin on AI eliminating jobs in creative fields by saying it will force those artists to try new things. You know, like get the fuck out of here. That's bullshit. The AI shouldn't be taking artists' jobs and so on and so forth. That's ridiculous. But it goes on and on. It's just really interesting stuff. Here's like the monthly subscription price for the Ubisoft Plus multi-access plan to play Ubisoft's games on PC, streaming, or Xbox. It's got 164 games. The monthly subscription price for Microsoft's Ultimate Game Pass to play blah blah blah. It's like Mad Catz charging more for the third-party controller you make your kid brother play with than Sony and Microsoft charge for the real deal. You know, um, One, the number of companies that received an F from the ADO in its 2023 Holocaust Denial Report Card. That would be Epic Games, which has a trusted partner relationship with the ADO that allowed it to flag offending content for escalated priority by the content's moderation team, but did not take action on Holocaust denying user content the ADO flagged. While none of the 10 companies included in the report card did great, Twitch and YouTube led the field with overall grades of C+. You know, uh, the Super Mario Brothers movie made $377 million, and it just goes on and on. Now, American McGee abruptly announces his retirement. Like I said, I'll link this in the description box if you want to read the whole thing for yourself. But I personally find this stuff really interesting. I don't know about anybody else. And I know the article begins with like this seedy, bullshit and stuff. And some of the stuff is to be fair, is also pretty terrible. I mean, like here's one about the Elder Scrolls Online MMO that they had accidentally or something like that. They had used work from an artist and they didn't pay and everything. It's I don't. Again, me personally, I find this stuff interesting. I don't know about anybody else. I'll go ahead and wrap this up here though. Thank you very much for watching and have a good one.